Hi, my name is Joe Goddard. I'm playing at Selfridges for Music Matters. For any band starting out, small venues are obviously massively important. They're the first step on the ladder of like playing at a kind of differing size venue. So everyone starts off small generally, and it's often as a teenager like the first places that you go to watch bands as well. So I grew up in southwest London in Fulham, and yeah, for the first couple of years of my like gig going, I was mostly like pub venues in like Kentish Town, Camden, or closer to home in Putney. There used to be like a venue called the Half Moon where I went to see a lot of gigs. And those places are kind of essential for kind of providing just spaces for bands that are just starting out to kind of find their feet and kind of begin their journey of playing live. Playing in smaller places is always kind of fairly intense. So sometimes, you know, things like really intensely go wrong, and the audience is obviously like right there in front of you, so it's pretty obvious when stuff goes wrong. So I remember times when technically everything just completely fell flat and you're like, there's nowhere to hide in those situations, but equally when things go right, it feels really intense emotionally and really fantastic. So I remember really good gigs at like the Dublin Castle in Camden, which is a classic London small venue, and the Barfly, which is not there anymore, but was a classic Camden venue for young bands. Also at the Sub Club in Glasgow, we played for Optimo on a Sunday night, and that's a very small basement venue. And yeah, just the intensity of the vibe in the room can be really amazing, because being so close to the audience, if the audience is enjoying the show, then you really feel it and see it, which is an obvious thing to say, but it's super important for a band, and makes the gig just very kind of memorable, really. Electric Lines is kind of my first attempt at really making a kind of thought out and kind of considered solo record. Like I've put out music under my own name in the past, but it's always been kind of, you know, very much like whenever I've had like 3 or 4 tracks ready in gaps in between touring with Hot Chip, I've kind of released an EP or something. This is the first time where I've devoted a serious amount of time and effort to kind of putting a record together with a lot of thought, and then touring it and kind of really thinking about it in the same way that I kind of devote a lot of time and effort to a Hot Chip record. So that's essentially the difference. I really worked hard, like for about a period of 18 months on making the tracks for the record and trying to kind of hone them and trying to really kind of intuitively see them through to kind of the best conclusion that I could find for each song. There are tracks on this record that are focused on dance floor. There's one track called Lasers, which is quite a kind of minimal electro record, without vocals and without a kind of super kind of song structure. So that's definitely more of a club record, and I've been really pleased that it's been played in the club quite a lot by various people. But I think as a whole the record is more of a kind of home listening thing. There are more kind of emo electronic pop songs, you know, those feature on the record more heavily, to be honest. And so yeah, but I wanted it to be a kind of diverse listen, you know. I like records that kind of span those two things in an interesting way, hopefully. Yeah, I mean, making a solo record in some ways is more difficult, I would say, exactly for that reason. Like you don't have someone sitting with you in the creation and production of the tracks to kind of constantly suggest new directions for the song in question, or to tell you when a song is finished, or to tell you when a song needs, you know, a new element, or should be shorter, or, you know, all of these kind of things where if you're trying to do all of those jobs as an individual, you can find yourself kind of going down weird kind of mental passageways that kind of lead nowhere, and kind of overthinking things, sometimes overproducing things. So I think it is like kind of more challenging, but I mean, at the same time, that means that it's really fulfilling when something goes well, because you know that you've kind of created something and you don't have to compromise on any aspect of the song. So it was a challenge for me, but it was one that I feel I kind of grew as a producer and a songwriter because of doing it, you know.